Hello, hello.
Good morning.
Yay. Holy shit, you guys, I'm so fucking excited. I'm like, I was thinking about this. I'm like, I can't believe we get to do this for reals. Like having all of you here. Yeah, like this is gonna be amazing. So thank you for showing up. Um, I have a few different things to say as an intro. Um, and and then we can jump into the content of what we're gonna do. Let me just say, and I'm recording. Am I? Am I recording? I am recording. I'm recording because there's a couple people that want to join but weren't yet able to make their schedules adjust to this. Um, and also I think it's always great to record because sometimes we say amazing things that we can't then remember what we said and how we said it. Um, and just to have that as a record. So um so happy to see you guys. So a few things I'm gonna do today. We're gonna do some introductions. I got to meet all of you. Many people applied. Not many people made it in. So just letting you know that this is a special group, and I'm committed to keeping it special. Because we just don't want to waste time on things that don't interest us. So we're all aligned. I met with all of you, and can't wait for you guys to get to know each other. When I'm excited, my dog is excited too. And I want to talk a little bit about just technical stuff after our introductions so that we all know where we stand. And what we're all committing to, and also maybe what we can all create together. So I'm starting this and see where it all goes when we all get involved. So those are some of my talking points, and we'll see how much time we have. Does anyone have time limit for today? I know this is just entering. Yeah. Brooke and Dave, I know you guys are in the thing. You have 1 hour only? Okay, yeah. Um,
I need to leave at half an hour to drive my son to airport.
okay. So, we're going to, so you have only half an hour, Zhenya? Okay. Um, we're going to, as this gets on your schedules, I would love for all of us to be able to commit to the entire time. And I understand that this is the first time, and I decided when we're meeting and you guys didn't know. So we have to start somewhere. So I'll be mindful of that, and Jenya, you'll be able to watch the recording, and also Dave and Brooke. So to start with,
Just a quick question, Marta. Is the entire time usually going to be an hour and a half then, or is it an hour?
yeah, there's no way we, as you know, that we can say what we want to say in 1 hour.
I know.
Brooke and I have done quite a few groups together. And there isn't any way that we can go as deep as we want to go and keep it in an hour. Having said that, we'll do our best to adjust our schedules. And I'm also open if there's a moment where we want to change the time of the meeting, I'm open to doing that. Let's just go around and just to get a sense of everybody, to go around and just introduce yourself, where you are, what you're really excited about in this group, and anything else you want to add. And let's just keep it. I'm not going to keep time because I'm terrible at this, but let's just keep it to couple minutes of introduction. And let's start with Leland. You were the first to submit your homework.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a great thing.
Hi,
Thank you.
everyone. I guess just right before my introduction, I just wanted to say something because it's hitting me, which is the vibe in this room, something about it. And I don't know how to put a finger on it with words, but it almost feels like this presence of nature is in here. Like I feel like I'm in the mountains when I'm in this room. So I just wanted to say that because it just feels that way to me. Short intro. I'm from Hong Kong originally. That's where I was born and raised for 16 years. And then I moved to the US. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. I used to be so terrified of anything adventure that, like, the pirate ship ride at the park, I peed my pants the first time. I mean, I was terrified. It took me 10 years to do any kind of roller coaster with no loops. And then I upgraded to loops. And then I tried to bungee jump. And then I tried jumping out of a plane. And I just slowly fell more and more in love. And people think that it's like this adrenaline thing that I need. And honestly, I feel like it's one of the most peaceful ways of being, just being in this place in nature where I feel super small. I've been a skydiver now for 11 years and I absolutely love it. And it's where everything kind of slows down for me. I have been coaching now for about 5 years. Most of my experience has been in tech. This is my fourth career. I also train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've been doing that for about 9 years. And sort of the one thread with all of this is that finding ways to integrate other sides of my adventurous spirit into my coaching practice has really opened up more and more ways to be authentic and to be creative. So I take clients on hikes and we jump out of planes sometimes and we do. So I'm just finding ways to explore and experiment. And I'm really excited to be here in a room of other people who value nature and being outdoors. So that's why I'm here. Thanks for having me.
How old is your baby?
I'm a new father. She is 18 months. She's a little tiny.
Who do you want to pass the talking stick to?
Man, how about to Shannon?
All right. Hopefully it was a good baton relay handoff, like most of the Olympics. My name's Shannon Catherine. I'm excited to be here. I grew up in the East Coast of the States in Virginia, right near Washington, D.C., Metro D.C., and I live out in western slope of Colorado in Grand Junction right now, by way of kind of Denver, Steamboat, Salt Lake, Canada, a little bit of a detour in the Mountain West, but I've landed here the past 4 years. And I discovered adventure probably as a kid, but more so as an adult. And just, if I could just exist outside, I think it would be my happiest place. If I could just live in nature, just that sense of awe. You mentioned Leland, and yeah, it just fills me up so much. And I have a background as a physical and outdoor educator, health educator, and coach, sports coach, and I am currently a mountain bike instructor, coach, and I also really believe in the power of mindset. I feel like it's so powerful, on and off the trails, everything we do in every facet. And so I'm just excited about the possibilities and excited to kind of just connect with each of you to be inspired and grow and learn, to hear what everyone's doing in our little corners or communities and be connected. And I think I'll pass the baton to Dave. Good to see you.
See you, Shannon. Nice to meet everybody. I know some of you a little bit, and some of you, this is my first time connecting with you. I live in Carbondale, Colorado, on one of the last wild and free rivers in the United States called the Crystal River. There's no dams on this river. Adventure and nature have been a huge part of my life, even though it's not how I made money through my life. I made a conscious decision in 1992 not to be an AMGA guide. It seemed like a dumb idea to me to pay all this money to be a climbing guide when people were happy to pay me to guide them in the gunks. That was silly. I was young. Oh, well. So I spent a lot of my life having deep adventures, doing a variety of things from bow hunting to climbing to backcountry skiing, just to tip of the iceberg kind of stuff there. I've been a coach now for 4.5 years. I make my living, single family income as a coach. Primarily, I do one-on-one coaching. And I'm really curious about kind of bringing these parts of myself back together and seeing what's possible in, on some level, being more bold with my proposals with either current clients or new clients of what could we do together? You know, I've gotten kind of limited in my thinking. We talk. So what we do is we talk. And sometimes we walk, but and most of the times we be, but pretty much we talk. And I really have enjoyed building a practice where I can meet with people from around the world if I'm around the world, you know, phone, Zoom. I love that. And I actually am really curious about what the power of being with somebody one-on-one, or maybe a small group in person, in nature, you know, having an adventure could look like. So really curious to explore that with all of you. And so I'm going to pass the baton to Kimberly.
Thanks, Dave. First of all, hi, everyone. And I recognize two faces in here, Carl and Marta. I kind of have been doing this a little bit backwards. I am more of the outdoor enthusiast. I've been living in my van for almost 4 years now, or actually 4 years on August 20th. And I am traveling around with my cat. And I came up with the idea for a business where I could take women one at a time out on the nature adventures. I used to be a pro cyclist and do a lot of mountain biking and a lot of backpacking. And I really love nature. My family basically brought me up that way. I've done like a ton of backpacking, but I'm not a coach. And but I feel like it just kind of comes naturally. It isn't, it isn't something that I'm afraid of, but it's not something that I'm officially. I kind of feel like I'm more of an usher. So I take people out on adventures and do those things. So and I'm here because Marta was in our L4 class together with Stephen McGee, and her and I had a phone call, and there seemed to be some sort of connection there that was really cool. And it really seems like a lot of the people that are on this call have like really extensive backgrounds in nature, and everybody's on the same page. And I think this could be a really cohesive, beautiful place to open other people's hearts through that beautiful space that we all know works. So thanks a lot. And I am going to pass Carl.
Hey, thanks, Kimberly. Good to see everybody here. This is cool. My name is Carl, and today I'm in Salida, Colorado. I grew up in the Midwest and had grandparents that lived in Fort Collins, and so we make these trips out, drive up Trail Ridge Road.
Carl, your audio is really difficult to hear. I don't know if you can do anything about it. You go in and out. I don't know.
Huh. Let me just try to speak a little bit louder.
That's
and
good.
hopefully that works. Yeah, so I had grandparents that lived in Fort Collins. My family would make the trip from Iowa out. We would drive up Trail Ridge Road in Rocky Mountain National Park. And it wasn't until I was probably 17 or 18 that I realized that people actually get outside of their car and they go out and experience the mountains. I honestly did not know that. And as soon as I did, I thought, man, I got to get out there. And so I started spending summers as a hike master, as an experiential education instructor, doing ropes course and challenge course work with kids and corporate groups. And I became, right out of college, a rock climbing instructor in Estes Park, Colorado. And I've just been playing in this space for quite a while. I've worked in retail. I've also worked in tech. And supporting a lot of people in this industry. So it's just for the last second half of my life, the last 7 years, it's been the space I've lived in. And I started my coaching practice in 2019. Essentially, I was living in Estes Park, Colorado, and I moved back down to Denver to, I've been out here for quite a while. I moved back down to Denver to get reconnected with some community after kind of having a sabbatical year. And then all of this stuff with COVID started to happen. And so I, in some ways, just got creative and shifted my business. I had intended to work with people. I've worked with people in Alaska and the Pacific Northwest and the Midwest, and quite a few people here in the mountain states. And my approach has always been, if we can get into a conversation, build a relationship, and find those moments of meaning that really create transformational experiences in people's lives, and that can happen on a phone call, it can happen in a Zoom conversation. But really, I found that inviting people out to a rock climb or a hike, or sit by a river, really just created this space where that was a lot easier to do. I don't know that I would have been prompted to do that had it not been for some of the constraints that we were experiencing during COVID. And I'm excited also to just kind of merge these two worlds and to see where it all goes. And in terms of my coaching, I don't set up any agreements with people to go and do these things, but I create an open enough container where these things become possible. And so I'm excited to learn from you all, to have some community and some fellowship with you, and for letting me share and for being here. And I will pass to Lynn.
Who?
I think it was you, Ken.
I'm sorry, Lane.
Oh, Lane.
Yay, me. Thanks, Carl. Hey, it's so awesome to hear from everybody. It's just fascinating to get the diversity that we have here, and to hear the background about what attracted you to coaching and to outdoor adventures. My big thing was, I live in Mesa, Arizona. I'm a former college professor, taught at Arizona State University in leadership and interdisciplinary thinking. And the big, massive breakthrough for me was at age 40, I loaded my family up into an old motorhome and cycled across the US. Blew me away. Absolutely mind-blowing how kind people are, how incredible our country is. I mean, we get fed a diet of fear from the media. And when you're out there on the open road is home, Kimberly. The open road is home. And when you're out there, you feel the heartbeat of people and the country. And so after that, I decided, well, I want to cycle every country in the world. How am I going to do that? Well, I got to figure out how to pay for that. And so I figured, well, let's get people to join and to break through some of the barriers they've got. So for the last 10 years, I've been leading adventures, and that is the core of my coaching. That is how I do it. I'm less interested in, hey, let's just chat, because nature plays a role. But the coaching has to be in there leading up to it. So I have a 3-phase program. Phase 1, yeah, we talk, we read, we discuss. Phase 2, we're out. We're living as nomads for a week and a half or 2. And then phase 3, we figure out what happened, what do we do with that going forward. And I'm just really excited to connect with you guys. And Jenya, I want to hear from you next.
Thank you. So I was born in Siberia, and I lived there until age 33. And I have my father was an outdoor enthusiast, backcountry skier, and then I went first on my backpacking trip in the late 80s. I pretty much never stopped. So I always was saying that my outdoor resume is much more impressive than my professional resume, and I'm very proud of that. So through whitewater rafting, caving, mountaineering, high altitude mountaineering, to backcountry skiing. That's my whole life. On the professional side, I had a corporate career in recruitment and executive search, and in 2010 I became a coach. And approximately in the same time, I started looking into how I can bring this together, coaching and my adventures and nature and mountains specifically. And around 2017, just this thing dawned on me that I was born to bring people into the mountains so they can experience transformation. And I can't get rid of this thing. Sometimes, yeah, I tried for years, especially during COVID. It's like, okay, that's just a dumb idea. Don't do this. And I was partially, sometimes I was successful. So before COVID, I was leading this nature hiking retreats for women mostly. And as Elaine says, it's amazing. Nature plays a role. I just see myself as a facilitator, as a creator of the container, and amazing things happen. Then people are moving in nature and a small group of people, so they can form these connections and be reflected by other people. So coaching is the only source of my income, but I have a job, a coaching job there. I see clients online all the time, just talking. And I'm still kind of trying to figure out how to make this nature coaching work for myself. Last spring, I organized a virtual conference. The topic was nature and personal growth, and I invited not only coaches. Well, at that time, I only found like 3 coaches who do this together. But there were nature meditators, forest therapy guides, and people like this. So I was trying to see what else people are doing on the intersection of human growth and nature. So it's a road which we all are traveling. Okay, and I guess next person. Ken, did you go yet?
I have not gone.
Okay, then it's you.
That's me. I feel very similar to a lot of you that this room is feels very strong and powerful, and I've never seen everybody have their camera on in one room before on a Zoom call, so this is quite amazing. And like Kim, I met Marta in L4, and I kind of feel like a virgin when it comes to adventures now, like with everybody in here talking about how much they've been doing it and how powerful it's been and how you guys have already created your businesses and inspiring other people to transform through the power of nature. And when I talked to Marta a couple months ago, I was just like, "You're doing what?" And I didn't know that that was something that I was going to be. I knew I recently accepted the call and after resistance of being a coach. And I had a friend be like, "Dude, I know what kind of coach you're going to be. You got to take people out in nature. Like that's what you do." And I was just like, because I took him out in nature and he had an experience, and I was just like, "Well, how do you do that? Is that possible?" And this is the rabbit hole I'm in, that I'm like, I need to be in this group where there's people actually doing it that I could learn from, and give me the examples and tools and inspire me and kind of show me the way. And maybe my newness of asking questions could help refresh your guys' memories of how you guys started, and maybe help my newness help you guys own your greatness in a sense and move forward.
Thank you, Ken, for the journey you already did to get here. I acknowledge that. It's really, really cool. And Brooke, take us home.
What an honor and a pleasure to be a part of Masters of Badassery. What a crew we have assembled here today. So I'm calling in from Twisp, Washington, in the Methow Valley in northeastern Washington on the eastern slope of the North Cascades. I grew up in Western Washington. I have lived in Alaska almost the last 30 years. And I just moved to be near my family out of Alaska. And in that 30 years, I've been an outdoor guide. Everything from rafting, sea kayaking, remote wilderness, backpacking, hiking, camping, nature nerding at high-end lodges, and ski guiding in the winter and avalanche educating. And through that 30-year career, and it also takes me to Japan and has taken me to Antarctica as well. And through that 30-year career, there was a common thread that went throughout, and it was that once people were immersed in wild places, that their true authentic nature showed up. And sometimes that was like their innermost fears or deep grief or loss. And I really just felt like the midwife of the experience. And I purposely always chose to guide adventures that were not as hardcore on the adrenaline side, so that there was space for the bigger emotional things to come through, and that we could really just hold that space. And I loved that piece of guiding. I felt like that was where just really the depth of humanity shone through. And so I, through this career, got really nervous system injured. Lots of bad shit happening all around me. Lots of friends dying in the industry, on the job, lots of clients in different companies I worked with. And I was just getting more and more and more hyper vigilant with myself and just operating from a place of fear. And started to work with Marta and others like 5 years ago, and really had this idea probably 20 years ago that I wanted to become a life coach, but I was scared to make that leap and Marta really helped me see that it's like, oh, it's the same thing. I've been doing it. I just need to have the courage to call myself something differently. And so this spring, I left Alaska, moved to Washington. I've been in my whole life. Chose to start to transition out of carrying the physical backpack to carrying the emotional backpack, and launched as a resiliency coach. And I chose the title resiliency coach as a way to recognize that my own resilience for coming through my own nervous system injury, and really desiring to help others with the harder pieces in the outdoor industry, grief, trauma, loss, just the things that show up for us that can really, that nature can hold, the dark, the shadow, and the light. And so I'm very, very new in the coaching side of the world. And I think my dream is how to marry those two, is, as all of you have said, like, I've seen the power of nature bring that holding container for folks to really move through and access their higher selves. And now I've been like shifting business to being in a Zoom room with folks. And now I want to like learn from all of you how to navigate like a beautiful interplay and meeting of those worlds. And I think one question I have that's been a limiting belief for me in that world is I've always stopped myself from like running my own guide company because of like insurance and like, what does it mean? And so that still is a fear I have, of like the limiting belief is like, well, I don't need insurance, like risk wise, liability wise, to meet with people on Zoom. But what does it mean? Like if I say, okay, I'm going to climb a mountain with you, like, how do I do that? You know, so some of my questions are very like nitty gritty logistics of how you all are doing it. And some of them are more emotional side of like how to really navigate the transition with that interplay. So I'm so stoked to be here and honored. So thank you all for having me.
Thank you, everyone. The wealth that we have in this room is incredible. Elaine and I were talking before he came in, and he asked me what I envisioned for this, and we just had this amazing conversation of like, oh my God, we're gonna create a treasury and wealth of knowledge and excitement and the ways of serving the world, and then we're gonna take world leaders out, and and all this is going to happen. So I want to acknowledge and just take a moment to take it in how really all of our, and I know this a little bit more than you because I've heard your stories to more detail, how our stories are complementary and how we can fill the gray areas on each other's maps, so that we can serve more powerfully in the world. So I want to go through some technical stuff about this group. Go ahead, Blaine.
We don't all know your story.
Oh, okay. Okay. I will gladly share. Let's see. Where do I start? When I was 15, I saw a rock climbing video about Yosemite. And I know you all have this voice, that one voice that says, that's it, follow that. And so after watching that video, I decided I was going to go to Yosemite and climb El Capitan. I had no idea how I was going to do it, but I knew that that was already done. So that was the first in my world, the first experience of my divine intuition and my incredible power of manifestation. Bye, Zhenya. We'll catch you on the recording. Of my incredible power of manifestation. And sure enough, I came when I was 18 and attempted climbing El Cap many times. And that launched me into years, really, nearly almost 20 years of focusing on my rock climbing craft and my self-exploration through rock climbing. And working on all the aspects of it until one day it just felt like kind of empty. Like I was like, here I am. I was literally in Tasmania on a climbing trip, and I was like, ma, this is kind of boring. And I was like, okay, all right, like there's got to be something more. And I knew what it was. I was just really afraid of the fact that I am here to be of service to others. I just did not, the way I grew up, the self, the story about the self that I had did not include that. So I had to rework that, and took me a while to get into coaching. I knew that was it for me, and I just, I wasn't 18 or 15 anymore, where things were happening overnight. So it took me a little bit to get on board, and probably a couple years of kind of like, how am I gonna make it work, whatever. And then one day I decided I was just gonna be a coach and see what happens. That was 5 years ago. Brooke was one of my first people. She's been with me this entire time. And as you know, I've learned as much from my clients as they do from me. It's so mutual, it's so beautiful. And then, I went into coaching thinking that I would take people into the mountains because that's what I knew. And when I first started doing that, um, I had a client actually whom I proposed to, saying, hey, I want to offer you this adventure package. And he said, don't sell yourself short. Your coaching is very powerful. So in some ways, in the beginning, when I just started gathering my skills as a coach, the mountains were a way of diverting attention and me not claiming my full power. And at this point, I just feel like have that skill and I'm really good at it. And so now the adventure becomes an incredible upgrade to the talk coaching that I am in the process of mastering forever. So yeah, that's the short of it. And this brings me to just as you guys know, developing relationships takes time. We, to come and show up to this group and start a relationship is a beautiful and courageous thing. We, as the way this is scheduled, we're gonna meet once a month. So I have created pretty strict rules around this so that we can start developing trust and intimacy in our relationship. I propose that we do my plan for 3 months, see who's left, and then we can make changes according to what's needed. So that's how I wanted to start this, because it might seem rudimentary. Why are we doing the homework? Why are we? Doesn't matter. It's just a way that we can all learn to trust each other and see that this is the right thing. And it doesn't mean that you have to stay if the group is not right for you, right? It just means that that since we're all over the place, since we're on Zoom, I believe there are certain ways that we can fast forward and speed up our connection. So that's where I'm coming from. And I wanted to talk you through the agreements that we have. And I'm open to suggestions, but like I said, I think for the first 3 months, it'll be good to stick to some sort of form, and then we consider. Any questions so far? Yeah, Carl.
Are we open to other people joining, to expanding the group?
So I have a form, and then I meet with a person to see if they're a fit. Many people just don't even fill out the form, which is great. I feel like if you have a person that you would like to invite, send them the form and tell them they're gonna meet with me. And yeah, if they're a right fit, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so I want to share my screen so that you can see. I want to talk you a little bit through this Coaches OS thing. I'm always, where is it? Oh, share. Is it here? I don't know. We'll find out. Here it is. Okay. You guys can see it? Yes. I wanted to oh, this is really sucky. Okay. Show you how this works. Everything is purple. So the events is where you're gonna get your Zoom link. Clearly you're here, so you made it. It's set up for second Tuesday at this time. I think in 3 months we can revisit and see what would work if there's a better time. Members, you guys have each other here. You can direct message each other. I recommend that if you spend the time with someone from the group this month, like Carl and Leland, you guys both have little babies. Might be a good thing to connect on and exchange experiences, doing what you do and so on. I know there's a lot of there's people that are into biking in this group. There's a lot of places of contact. So I invite you to reach out to each other. Here in the feed, what I have going on right now is every time before our meeting, this is where I post the homework assignment. And you guys, most of you filled it out. The homework is mandatory. It's a way for us to be present before we come into Zoom. So it's a telling of a story of something that happened. and asking a question that we might explore in the group. The way I've done this before is, and maybe we can just decide right now that please read each other's posts and just make a comment, read, acknowledged, heard, whatever. I know I haven't said this before, but it really helps when we feel like our story has actually been what do you call it? Received. Go ahead, Lane.
Can I suggest then that we encourage or maybe mandate or agree that everybody submits, maybe 3 days early to give us time
To
to
read.
actually read it, respond, and because I think it was due last night.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know I didn't have a lot of opportunity to read and reflect on what everybody
Yeah.
else.
So how about a Friday? Would Friday be a good deadline before the Tuesday so that there's a weekend to read and respond? Can you give a thumbs up? Yeah. Okay. Great. Let's just agree on the Friday before, and I'll post it and I'll say when that is. I don't want to create a lot of work for myself, so I'm not gonna email you guys with reminders. Put it on your calendar and know that this is your job. It's really powerful. I have this thing with a group I'm a part of, and it's a little different, but it's really powerful to actually read with intention and to acknowledge each other. So there is this. Obviously, you can post other things in the feed. You can ask your questions or whatever you're going through. You're welcome to post. It usually takes people a little bit to get used to using this Mighty Network and just kind of like even checking in with it. So just FYI, if we don't want our group to be dead, visit and participate here if it works for you. We all have trips, we all have things going on, so that's understandable. And now I wanted to, any other questions or ideas, or am I missing stuff, or am I not clear? Okay. I want to go into agreements. And we're actually gonna so I'm just gonna go over this. Consistent monthly attendance is required. If you don't tell me you're not gonna show up and you don't show up, that's an out. I need to know that you're not gonna be here. Just for the commitment and the trust. Of course, if there is a emergency, it's a different thing. Missing 3 meetings, excused or a single unexcused absence will lead to removal from the group. All this is so that we don't have people that occasionally show up. Meetings are held on time with video. Full engagement throughout the entire meeting is expected. As I said, I know that Dave and Brooke had a previous commitment beforehand. That's gonna end at some point. So my friend Tom, he hasn't been able to come to the first meeting. He's gonna join next month. And let me know if you have things going on. Just text me. If you don't have my number, I think everybody's got my number, yeah. And if you don't have my number, I'll give it to you through here. And the preparation, post adventure or something that happened to you, and the coaching question. Oh, Zhenya is gone. Zhenya, even though you're gone, coaching question is a question that you have for the group. I don't intend to coach on those questions. I intend to be a moderator here, at least for the first 3 months. And so knowing who people are, I might, and I know some people are much more experienced than others, I might direct a question onto someone, or I might choose to answer it myself. That's how I'm seeing this. And if you have other ideas, please let me know. As a moderator, I'm gonna make sure that everybody's safe. So I've led groups for years now, and there are times where being a moderator means that I interrupt someone and ask him to stop sharing a certain thing, or or ask him to reframe it. So I might not catch everything, but I'm gonna strive to make sure that this is a safe environment for everyone. I'm gonna also keep an eye on time. All right, and so the next piece, I have this code of conduct, and I'm gonna go, we're gonna read it together. My experience with groups, and sorry, Brooke, you've read it a million times. My experience with groups is that the success of the group is determined by the safety of the container. So this might be the most important thing we do, which is all decide that this is how we want to be with each other. This is not a complete document. If you have ideas and ways of improving it, please let me know and we'll improve it. So I'm gonna start reading and then I'm gonna pass we're gonna try to go in the same order as we did, if we can remember. But I'm gonna we each gonna read few sentences. Leland, actually, why don't you start us from
All right.
Yeah.
Agreement number 1, maintain confidentiality. So first, what I see and hear that is personal or specific to another person will stay here. And second, when sharing someone else's story, I do so in an honoring manner that celebrates the original person's magnificence.
Shannon.
Yep. Agreement 2, embrace the beginner's mindset. I release evaluating or comparing what I'm learning. I allow myself to try on and wear the information for a while as it stands.
I don't know who is next.
Dave.
Agreement 3, practice a positive focus. I focus on the 98% that is working and let it expand. I fill my tank with gratitude. What I perceive in others, I strengthen in myself.
That would be me next. Agreement number 4, open at a deep level. I practice opening my heart to the essence of what is being conveyed. I get out of my limiting and judgmental mind. I release the need to evaluate and judge myself and others. I am anchored in my body as I connect with others. When sharing my experience, I share not only what happened or what I have experienced, but also what does it mean to me, what it is telling me. Carl.
Agreement 5, claim my experience as my own. I release telling others what I think they should do, feel, act, or believe, etc. I speak in I statements so I can claim my own experience. I focus on the parts of me that are.
Yeah, I think I'm next. Agreement 6, listen deeply and with honor. I focus 100% engaged positive attention on the person sharing. I recognize an opportunity to be fascinated by another. I refrain from inside talk, crosstalk, or interrupting when someone is sharing. I refrain from formulating my response until the person sharing is complete. I refrain from making repetitive comments or drawing attention to myself. I release anticipating what the person is going to share. I look for the gifts being shared, their vulnerability, authenticity, brilliance, etc. I allow the other person sharing to indicate that he or she is complete.
I think it's me next. Agreement 7, give only authentic and positive acknowledgement and support. I am authentic while giving only positive feedback. I keep it simple and speak with the essence of what I experienced. I maintain heart contact with the person to whom I'm giving support while remaining fully present in my body. When I want to give unsolicited advice, criticism, counseling, or consulting, I release it without sharing it.
Agreement 8, fully receive acknowledgement and support. I am open to receiving acknowledgement as the gift it is and let it sink in. I maintain heart contact with the person acknowledging me while remaining fully present in my own body. I respond with a simple thank you, and I refrain from crosstalk or comments back to the person acknowledging me.
Agreement 9, I practice self-care and self-responsibility and allow others to do the same. I maintain a safe space for myself. I take care and honor the wisdom of my body, heart, mind, and source of inspiration, allowing them to guide me. When something feels like a judgment or advice, I ask it to be reframed. I empower others by allowing them to take care of themselves.
And agreement 10, be fully present. I value my intuition and my multiple intelligences to guide me. I'm here on time to start, and I stay for the entire duration. My camera's on. I maintain the agreements above when interacting with other group members and in and outside of the meetings. I keep my phone on airplane mode. I am present with the participants and not distracted by my phone or cat or dog or baby. In case of emergency, I use my phone outside of the room.
Thank you, guys. Dave and Zhenya and Shannon, we were just in a retreat a couple weeks ago and started off with these agreements, and it was a 2-day retreat, and it really set us off on the right foot for the weekend, to where we could all really deeply share and be present with each other. So we saw it, the power of it in action. And as I said, if you have improvements, or if you don't like something, please let me know. We can talk about that.
And would that be best just directly to you, or do you want it brought up to the group, or?
Why don't you guys email me for now, so
Right.
we don't, and then let's do that so that we don't spend all the time on the agreements. If that's okay, is that okay?
Mhm.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it. So we had some great stories, and we had some questions, and I wanted to bring some of that into the room today. The question I wanted to start with, and I don't actually know who asked this, because, oh, by the way, I know why I'm saying this. As I showed you on my screen, please post your replies in the same thread. Different replies were in different threads in different places. I know that Mighty Network can be confusing a little bit. So just be mindful of where you're responding with your homework, so that I can have everything in one place and I can organize that. It's a bit of a learning curve to use this software. So the first, I think this is from Dave. And you have 5 minutes to listen before you have to go. So it might end up being on a recording. As I reset my intention and attention into my business, I'm leaning into possibilities of how I might expand into coaching off the trails to help support more people in their growth and personal journeys. And I actually wanted to give this question to have Leland answer it, because it sounds like Leland and Dave, you guys are kind of on the opposite sides of that spectrum a little bit, of like one of you is doing one thing more and then the other thing more. So I thought you might have a good insight to that question, Leland.
Marta, just to clarify, I think I posted that, so maybe it was
Oh,
Fred.
well, perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dave. I don't know what your question was then. That was Shannon's question.
I was actually just typing that I need to drop, as I communicated to you before.
Oh,
I have
yeah,
to prep for my
okay.
next meeting, but it was wonderful meeting you all, and I'm excited for next time. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah, I forgot that. Dave, did you have a question?
I don't believe I did the homework
Yeah, okay.
correctly. I misunderstood the
Oh.
intake form for the group with the homework for today.
Okay. Yeah, which was fine. I also didn't some people got the email really late from me, which I realized because whatever, I wasn't super on it either. So I'm counting this meeting as a start and a really great place to begin. Anyway, for the question that Shannon has, who would like to step in? I'll read it again. As I reset my intention and attention into my business, I'm leaning into possibilities of how I might expand into coaching off the trails to help support more people in their growth and personal journeys. I think, Shannon, it would be great if you spoke a little bit to what your situation is, actually.
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Yeah, a little bit about my background. 2022, I launched my own business. I've been like in education, physical health, outdoor experience for a long time, and I shifted it also into kind of along the way. I've been an advocate for girls and women in sports and adventure. So I've been involved with nonprofits that support those missions, and kind of coming along, kind of taking those experiences with the culmination of that with post-COVID, my mom's passing unexpectedly in 2021. I was at a point of like, okay, what do I want to do with all of this knowledge and experience I built up? I really have this just desire to help others. And so I worked with a business coach for a short time, and I launched a business doing women's mountain bike retreats. It was like, start with what you know. I've been coaching mountain biking on the side for a long time, so that's in my comfort zone. So, and I wanted to pair that with mindset. So that's something I'm really passionate about. So I launched these women's bike retreats. I live in Grand Junction, so they're local here, and have had, and it was not only the bike, it's using the bike as a catalyst for growth, right? The adventure piece, right? It could be any piece of equipment or tool or outing, but that's really what I started with, and pairing that with mindset and community, and women stepping out of their comfort zone to do hard things and build their skills has been really powerful. So I've held several retreats spring and fall for the past couple of years. And I've also launched a local bike series, which has been wonderful. I've been getting kind of word of mouth referrals. And I know I don't want to just coach mountain biking. It is amazing, and there's so much more I want to do. So as I grow, I've kind of defined myself in a small community as a mountain bike coach, which is wonderful. And I want to, it's not all I want to do. So I want to offer different kinds of programs for coaching and whatnot. So I'm really curious, just as I explore, kind of like to narrow, like obviously I have a big vision, but a big funnel, but I can't do it all. So I'm trying to figure out like kind of where I go from here to what I can offer with that. So that's a little bit of background of what kind of my question gives you a bit more context.
Mhm. And what is it that you're really interested in? What do you want to happen?
I'm really interested in helping people believe in themselves and what's possible, and that they can do it. Like, and I think I know adventure, doing something I know in my own experience is so powerful. When you do something hard outside nature, and that's relative, right? It's a range for every individual, it varies. But you take that transfers. right? So I have women who've come to my retreats, who I've coached. They come back to me and they are so excited. They're like, hey, I now have the confidence to take this other job I didn't think I was qualified for. I can do it. And I'm showing up in my community, right? That transfer piece. So it's that transfer off the trail of confidence and expanding into, you know, their best selves or their full potential, I'd say. And that connection too, because I'm really an advocate and believe in that connection piece. So if all of us go on a adventure together, we're going to have a really strong, a much stronger bond than if we just meet for coffee. So that's what I have participants who still are friends and connect outside of our space, which is wonderful. So that's kind of my vision of kind of, or my, maybe more of my why. I want to help people believe in themselves to do, yeah, to get out of their comfort zone.
And one more question. Are there areas of your life where you don't believe in yourself?
Well, ironically, some of my limiting beliefs are, what can I offer that I guess isn't already being offered or delivered, or does that matter? Because we all have a unique experience, and kind of that putting yourself out there. Yeah, and I think so that's part of my limiting belief, and also how to go about that. It's not
So
my comfort
I would
zone.
say to answer my question, you would say, I don't always believe that I have something unique to offer.
That,
Is that right?
yeah, and I frame it as there are so many amazing coaches in this space, in this, you know, out there, which is wonderful. This also means there's a need for them, right? Depends how you want to frame it.
Mhm.
Mm. Um, can I jump in here a little bit?
Yeah.
So, I was thinking too that this whole group, the way that I was thinking that it would work for me really well is I find a client that wants to go on a nature adventure. And then I give them a whole menu of items like, would you like to do some rock climbing? Would you like to do some mountain bike training? Would you like to do meditation by some redwoods? Would you, whatever it is. So I start working with this group and we start adding each other to each other, and we're actually connecting. So instead of each of us doing our own thing, we're actually connecting with each other. So if I go to Grand Junction or Fruta, which is one of my favorite places to mountain bike, I meet up with Shannon. And if I have a client, they can get some one-on-one training. And if she has some other things to offer them, outdoor camping, you know, things like that. So that's how I see this going. And then we all start helping each other with basically the tools we have. Is this what you were kind of thinking of, Marta? Or
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's no way of me to know what everybody's gonna do.
no, I know. But
Right.
when you put this group together, and when you and I had our chat, that's what I explained to you that I thought was like a really neat thing that I thought could work really well with powerful coaches doing nature outdoor things. And
I mean,
I
I
really
think to me, this happens as a side effect of
correct.
intimacy and
Yeah.
knowing each other, right?
Mm-hmm,
I mean,
mm-hmm.
am I going to police that everybody has to, is this a networking where you have to bring me 3 leads or else? No.
Oh, I didn't, I don't think, I don't think I said that though.
No, you didn't.
No,
I
no,
just want to,
no, no,
no,
I
you did
just, no,
not.
no,
I just want to
no.
say that I have no interest in policing people to bringing referrals, but I think that what I want to build is a group where um, we can start developing trust and that becomes automatic, right? Because
Correct. That's exactly, yeah. Yeah,
I'm
this
not
is,
going to take
yeah.
people biking in Patagonia, but Lane is, right?
Yeah,
And
that's what I'm saying. You know, it's like you find the right person that somebody wants to uh connect with to add something else to their it's like I don't know all of these things that everybody does, but just to know that there is, the network out here
yeah,
feels just powerful.
I mean, there is a certain amount of I don't know if you guys have this experience with really anything you do, but you know how you like have a best friend and you have another best friend and you're like, oh my God, you guys gotta meet. And then they meet and it's like, wah, wah. Right? So it's a thing, right? And often people are attracted to us, Shannon, because of who we are, right? And because I believe we're, you know, like I'm the medicine and coaching is my boat that the medicine gets delivered. So to refer, and we can actually, I think it'd be really interesting, Kim, to make a session and really explore what a powerful referral looks like, because a power referral doesn't look like, hey, call Shannon, she's cool. That
Yeah, I would do it that
rarely
way.
does anything, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're saying this, but to explore how really to make people commit to to reaching out to someone else and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I think that would be a great a topic to discuss. But I think often people are just really attracted to the transformation that happens in the presence of the medicine that each of us is.
Correct.
Right? And so I think that what you're talking about is going to be a great side effect of this group. But the wealth of what we create here together, the wealth of shared experience and shared helping each other see different perspectives is going to grow us in really unexpected ways.
Yeah, totally.
Mm. Carl, do you have something to share with Shannon on her question? Yeah, it's kind of hard to hear you anyway, but maybe
Yeah,
if you,
I was on mute.
okay. Oh well, that will be a reason.
Um, can I can I drop into a couple questions here? And first, just Shannon, I just want to acknowledge you for there's real clarity in what you're sharing about who you are, what you do, and why you're doing it, and that benefit. And what I'm hearing is, in part, that the question is, or the challenge for you is, how do I become unique in this? And that uniqueness is a dependency upon expanding. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, definitely expanding into off the bike as well. Yes. And I guess I do think I have I definitely have very unique qualities I won't get into. But yeah, so I think it's more of the expansion, because some folks are seeing me as defined in this container of biking, and like, oh, you could do other things. And like, it's like, yeah, I've actually taught skateboarding, not that to elementary students, type that, just as an example. But like, yes, I have different hats I wear, but when people see you in this lane, they see you as a bike, coach. So I'm just trying to see how to shift that narrative, or maybe not shift, but expand it, if that helps.
Yeah. Personally, if I can just share a kind of a personal thing that came up for me as you were talking about what you're doing is, I know for me, there are certainly areas in my life where I believe in myself more than other areas. And for me, jumping into adventure and adrenaline sports is a way that I hide from myself and ignore the areas where I'm feeling less confident and less belief in myself. And I'll go and how many broken bones and emergency situations that I put myself in because I don't believe in myself, and I mask it through throwing my body around in the outdoors. So I certainly I hear you in different ways to expand and expand that narrative out. A question that comes up for me is what makes you unique in what you do?
I think, like I said, I'm really good. I really believe in people so much, like that almost that helps them believe in themselves. Like I'm so genuine that way. And I find real joy in helping people get from A to B or wherever they're going. And I think just with my background of, I guess, I left the business world when I was 24. I went back to get my master's education. I moved out west by myself. I was 30 and single. So I have this level of independence and confidence and humility that I've learned a lot and lots to learn. And along the way, I've worn lots of hats, from nonprofits to be an outdoor adventure educator, like ropes courses, to like large group facilitation, smaller groups. And it's that facilitation piece that I really like, creating space of belonging is I'm really good at and I really believe in. And that to me is really important. I've been in lots of settings, we probably all have, where it just doesn't feel, it doesn't feel like everyone's showing up or it's intentional. And I really believe in creating that space, because from there, that container, everything else has so much potential to expand and unlock those possibilities in each other, and build relationships. So that's where I think that's what lights me up as well. And getting people to like, okay, step out of that comfort zone, you can do this. And then within these experiences, the retreats or local series, these women have got to know each other, and there's been tears, there's been moments, because grief and all these things come up, right? And so there's that component as well.
I hear that. I hear that. And it's probably even so much more, and so much that happens in the space in between all of these things that it's just very difficult to articulate into words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would love to have the time and space to really kind of break this down and open it up. But can I share something that has worked for me? It's just kind of what's coming up in my intuition.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had this experience and I really wrestled with it for quite a while, that it'd be the conversation, and I relate to where you are too. I relate in my own way to where you are, and expanding that narrative and really finding a way to express the power of what it is that we get to do and what happens when we engage in these relationships, these transformational spaces with people. I found that, people would ask me, like, what do you do when I'm meeting somebody? And I would say something along the lines of, like, I do coaching, or I coach leaders, and it would be some version of that. And almost always the response I would get would be somebody just projecting right back onto me what they, in the very small box of what they think coaching is. Be something like, oh, so you motivate people. And then I would find myself in a dialogue trying to unprogram what they think it is that I do. And in no space is there any information, no possibilities opening up. And what I started to notice was, if I could get outside of the label, because really what's happening here doesn't fit inside of a label. And what I started to play around with and I hear it in what you're sharing, and it's maybe an answer to two questions, and that specific answer to two questions: who is it for and what is it for? And so what I started to do is I would start a story that would engage the other person, and you talk about narrative. And so for me, it was the story started with, how some people see a bigger game inside themselves and they want to play it full out, but sometimes they struggle in believing in themselves and what they do. So it's a description of who it's for. And it doesn't have anything to do with me. There's no I in that. But starting the story that engages the other person's story about themselves. And I would watch and I would slow it down and people would be like, oh, yeah, say more. Well, and I might say, well, I've developed a process that helps people clarify their vision and whatever your special sauce is, you know, maybe it's a couple, 2 or 3 bullet points that really highlight the impact, what it is that you do and how you work with people. And it could be on a bike, it could be sitting, you know, however you do what you do. Clarify their vision, make better promises so they can believe in themselves fully and play the game full out. If it's, you know, I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing. That's really generous of you. And it kind of reminded me, I was going to ask you if you're like a little bit of Seth Godin of like, who's it for? What change are you seeking to make? Which I feel like that is like the essence of what all we're doing. Like I think to some degree, all of us probably in the room we have a change we're seeking to make and help and serve. So yeah, I love that, how you kind of reframe it out of that label. And that's what I think I'm not into labels, right? I don't want to get hung up on labels of like, I have this A, B, or C. That doesn't define you or me or any of us. And it shouldn't. It should just be a component of us that helped us along the way. So yeah, that was really helpful. It's just good food for thought for me to reflect on.
Well, I'll tell you, and it is something I first heard from Seth, and it's been a process, and the more I put it to work in the experience, the more it kind of becomes refined. But I think there is something powerful in that clarity of really, really, and then when you really get inside of you who it's for, and in a way, I don't know, Marta might have said this, that I get as much, you know, secret thing about this business is I grow as much as sometimes maybe even more than my clients do. Like I work on myself as a way to help other people, and I help other people as a way to help myself. And so I think there's something magical that happens when you have that clarity and you show up and you're fully embodied in it. Subconsciously, the other person's going to pick up on that. And then the question, like the strategy, is how do you get that narrative out? You just walk around in the world with that energy. You are, it's so you become it. And then people will be gravitating towards it. And the most important conversation you're going to have about it is just the next one, the one in front of you. To be inviting people into that space.
That's
what resonates and what's worked for me. And there's tons of ways to do it, but.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, because I definitely can get hung up on the details and the weeds and the how of, and then like promote, like I'm not self-promotion or the feeling that I would have to do that is not my space or not my jam. I don't even think it's possible. Like, I just don't know how to do that. Like, so yes,
what a gift that is that you don't know how to do that.
I don't, like, I'm terrible. Like someone else could be like, oh, that's what I do. Yes. Like much better than I can articulate it, which I need to work on delivering. But I like, it's really helpful for you to share how to reframe it. It's like it's not an I, it's what, you know, what is, who it's for and what it's for. So that's really helpful to kind of, to spin it, not spin it, but just reframe it. So yeah, thank you.
And I think that's it. And then, you know, when you can start that in a way that is, there's a principle or a protocol that's worked for me in my business that the minute I become the hero of the story, I take the other person out of the story and transformation becomes, it's taken off the table. And I really hear that in what you're sharing, and there's something powerful about that. And it's maybe a weird thing that we play with because most of the industries out there saying, hey, you got to promote yourself. You got to promote yourself. Well, I'm going to promote the person who's sitting in front of me. That's what I'm here to do. And so to start that story in a way and like real clarity on who it's for, you just kind of slow it down. In my experience, when I slowed it down, I kind of described this. I just watched the person's whole body change. And they're like, that's me. And then it's like, okay, awesome. Well, and you know, and then the conversation becomes a little bit more emergent, and it might be, you know, like, well, what holds you back from that? Would you like to have a conversation. There's no pressure involved in this, no obligation. I just want to see if and how I can serve you in this. See where you are, who you are, what your vision is, and maybe what's holding you back. There's no charge for this. There's no obligation to continue, and just begin that relationship.
Yeah, I
Not
love
come
that.
along.
Even that's super helpful, right? Just that gift, generous gift you give people, even if they don't take it further, you lit light the spark to help, right? Which is what it's all about, right? Because that's what we're all helping people to do and become. So
Yeah.
I think it's such an incredibly powerful conversation. Thank you, Carl, for bringing that
yeah, thank you. Thanks for
perspective.
sharing.
What I heard so loudly is that the moment we pigeonhole ourselves into how do I do more, or what is the best way to we're instantly in our left brain, and the left brain does not take any feedback from the outside world. So the moment we go into that space, we're dust in what we do, right? And your reframe is so powerful because it reorients to the person in front of you. And Shannon, knowing you, you're already so good at this. You don't need any training, right? You don't need any label. You're already so able to be present with the field, right? So all we ever need to do is just to get out from the pressure or of whatever that left brain is telling us is supposed to happen here. Well, I'm the coach, or I want to be a coach, or I'm not yet a coach, right? And Carl just annihilated all that in this moment, and that's just so beautiful. And yeah, just hearing you speak to this, Carl, I reflected so much on how I can be more present as well in with every person that's right in front of me. So thank you. Ken, how did it land for you?
I am actually in the global coaching course with Carl, and I remember you sharing this some before already, Carl, and I really liked it. You did a share with Stephen with this, and yeah, I think there's a big thing about removing your ego and wanting an outcome, and just letting the person in front of you be super present, and just instead of doing any guiding or anything at that point, you just become that really safe listening container, and it has nothing to do with you anymore. And I really think that's great. That's a really powerful tool. So
Ken, I want to hear from you.
sorry, I thought you said
It's okay.
Kim.
No, he's just
Okay,
so quiet.
because I didn't see a Ken. Oh, there's a Ken. I didn't see him on
Yeah.
there. So
No,
sorry.
it's totally
Sorry
fine.
about that, Marta.
Ken and Kim is very close. And your last names start with B, so. And Ken was with us in L4 as well, Kim. You're muted. Ken, you're muted.
I thought I got interrupted a couple times, but it was me with being muted so I could sneeze or something like that. I think thanks a lot, Carl, for taking that time and sharing that with us. It seems like we got so much out of it. The who is it for and what is it for? And I think it was as powerful as as Shannon was struggling with, is there something I could coach that's unique? And then for Carl to ask this question, like, well, what is it that makes you unique? And for Shannon to just show this beautiful side of herself, but that is so much more unique than. And so I really would encourage Shannon to kind of go back and listen to this, because what you described was you. And it was something that answered your own question in a sense about like what you can do with your uniqueness. Because that, I hear that all the time, and I'm in the same boat. I ask myself the same questions. I have the same challenges with self-esteem and self-worth, and what can I bring to somebody in a sense. And I appreciate it where Carl came in with being vulnerable too, and be like, hey, I hide behind a drill and adventure. Like, that's my safe space, so I don't have to struggle with where I'm weak in a sense, or where I could grow in a sense. And I think that kind of vulnerability, when you lead with that type of vulnerability, and then you have this powerful tool to share about getting your ego out of the way and making it about the people who are in front of you. It's inspiring and motivating to like step into those shoes and recognize, and thank you too, Shannon, for sharing that, because this is like, it helps me reflect on like, okay, as I enter into this coaching world, what is my uniqueness, or how is it that I can help people recognize their own hero in their own journey. And I think using the tools of metaphor, like I hiked a 14 or a couple weeks ago, and the metaphor of climbing in our lives, the hiking, these peaks in our lives, and how can I just take those metaphors to my one-on-one online coaching, as they're the hero climbing their own mountain in life, you know. And so is there ways that we can, you know, the trail and the mountain bike and the metaphor, and having all the tools and the gears in place to help other people in their lives to find their gears, to find their speed, to find their courage and their safety, to help facilitate them to be empowered as their own hero.
I would love to.
So good. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to give it back to you, Shannon, to as we all mirrored back what we heard, yeah, what are you walking away with?
Well, I find it ironic that I have this. Can you all see? Oh,
You got the blurry lens on.
oh, anyway, it's the who's it for, what's it for posted on one of my monitors. The irony of myself, I do have a good sense of humor, and I'm self-deprecating. And yeah, when I was taking a course a while ago about, it actually involved superheroes in part of that, my delivery, and I was trying to do some public speaking, which I, again, working on. But yeah, I'm just so grateful, I think, because it's so generous of you know, each of you to share. And even Ken, what I really liked what you said about ego and outcome, like letting go of that. I had one of my participants have this epiphany a couple years ago of like, I just had to let go of my ego and I not care about what happens, and just be here present on the ride and have fun. And because I do a lot of like joy, intentional joy, and just being present. And like, it's great if you get that obstacle, and it's okay if you don't. Like, we're just riding bikes, you know. So, but yeah, so I really like that language, and like the hero piece can, yeah, and just, yeah. And Carl, thanks for sharing just how yours, a way to hide is throwing yourself into adrenaline and all that. And you're probably not alone in that with a lot of people in the adventure world, right? Because it's this space where you and so many people can thrive and forget all the other things going on in those containers. So yeah, I'm just really grateful. I have lots to think about. I was trying to take notes, and I was like, oh wait, I think you're recording it, so I don't have to take notes.
That's why. I have a
Yeah.
recording because it's like Ken said, it's so precious to hear yourself back, and to watch
Yeah.
yourself from that, you know, a third point of view. So I think that can be very valuable. Thank you, everybody. This was really, really powerful. First meeting. I am so grateful for your presence and your gifts and your brilliance and your vulnerability. And let me know if you have some changes, questions, concerns. Text me. I'm here. And Shannon, wearing your shirt.
You're rocking it. I love it.
And we'll see you next month.
Nice to meet everyone. Thank you.
Great
Thanks,
to be here with you
Lorna.
guys. Look
Bye.
forward to seeing where it all goes. Bye, everybody.